There's a lot of symbols on the sewing guide reference chart that is included with the Husqvarna Viking Onyx 30. Hi, I'm Sarah from sewingmastery.com, and we're going through all the functions, stitches, and abilities of this fabulous machine. So check out the link to our complete playlist of all the video tutorials we have done on this machine. Plus, we have online courses that will help you go even further than your manual. So what we're going to do in this video is explain what these symbols are and go through all the buttons and functions that are on this machine. So tell you the truth, when I see a sewing machine company giving me a button, especially if it's close to the needle, I feel it's important. So we've put it really close to our fingertips, so I'm probably going to be using these quite a bit. So if there's a button on this machine that you're not using fully because either you don't understand it or haven't taken the time to master it, this is your chance to really utilize your machine to its fullest. We've already done a video on the stitches and how to adjust settings, which was some of the buttons that are obvious on this machine. So starting at the top, I'm going to start with this because this is the one part people just kind of gloss over or don't even realize that this is at their fingertips. Now when we unbox this machine, you will find this little guy was in the bottom of the accessory box. So it was actually slid right in here. So if you're transporting it and want to keep it safe, that's actually where it can sit, and then you'll have it at your destination. So there is also a little holder that was in with the accessories, and it is meant to sit in where the spool pin for that's vertical would go back here. So when you pop that in there and do that, you've got a little place to keep it close by. So what are we actually seeing on this chart? First off, Viking has been known for this kind of system on all their machines for many, many years. Pretty much what it is a category of fabrics, which is what each of these columns are, and a variety of techniques. So when you find yourself working on, say, a cotton fabric or woven fabric, and you're wanting to do a buttonhole, then we are going to be guided to which stitch to use, which foot, and a few of the settings that we might adjust based on that particular fabric. So since the machine doesn't know like which fabric you're actually using, this is how you can have like your own little sewing advisor close by, and having that understanding of how to read this will actually save you a lot of time and probably some frustration. So up here for fabric, woven fabrics, that's going to be cottons, flannel, denim, anything that has a wovenness to it. This next category, okay, is actually leather or vinyl. How I remember this, it kind of looks like roadkill or like a cowhide. So that's how I remember that's the leather one. Now you are noticing that there are some blanks in here because we're probably not going to do basting on leather or vinyl, and we're probably not going to need to overlock the edges because vinyl and leather or faux leather don't unravel. So that's why this is a little on the blank side. And this last column, this is probably the one people use the most because we use this maybe not as much. And this is going to be for knits or fleece, sweatshirt fabric, or anything that's really, really stretchy, because the stitches that we are going to use on stretch fabric need to actually have some give, and also so when we pull on it, those stitches don't break. Okay, so that's very key that you're picking the right stitch for stretchy fabric. Okay, over here, these particular symbols. The first one is a seam. So any of your normal sewing seams, again, it'll get you into a category of where your setting should start. Then we have overcasting. So going over the edge of fabric so the threads don't unravel when you go to wash it. Overcasting and hem. So having a seam after it and while it's overcasting those edges is really, really nice. A basting stitch. This is a blind hem, and again, not doing blind hems on a vinyl, okay? This one is also a hemming option, and then The last one is a buttonhole. So again, all the feet are recommended, all the stitches are recommended. The next column over is for tension. So sometimes we do adjust our tension for the fabric or technique that we're doing, and then also what the width or length is, which could be a little bit different than the default setting of what the machine is going to start with. So because the fabric changes, sometimes the settings need to be a little longer, a little shorter as we work. So that is also very handy. Next time you're working on a fabric you're not used to, start here. Refer to this video back so you can be reminded what the symbols mean, and that will help you get started. Okay, now for the fun part. With the buttons, here are some things to know about your machine. Is number one, as you're sewing, we do usually want to back up or reverse when you're wanting to lock some of those stitches. So holding this in and then stitching, you will find that it will back up as long as your finger is holding that button, and then you can go forward again. So you're not surprised if you don't step on your foot control and you hold this button in, it actually goes back for you and without you having to hold the foot control in place. But if you're just sewing along, you're coming down to the end of your fabric, touch and hold, release when you want to go forward, and then reach up to probably your new favorite button, the scissor button, which will cut the thread. So I'm sure by now you've probably figured out that this is right at your fingertips because it cuts not only the top thread and the bobbin thread all at once and makes it so all you have to do is pull it out. It is really a time saver. So when you go back to start again, you also have an option for a knot. So kind of on the same topic of securing like the reverse button did, but this time instead of it going forward or back, if I just touch it, it's just gonna do like a couple stitches up, down, and that way I don't have kind of that overlap of where the stitches backed up over the top of it. I do use this more when I'm doing decorative stitches, so then as it ends, it's kind of all in the same hole, and then I can use that button. Now, you will need to kind of get an idea. Okay, it's like a nice on-demand, and when you touch it, it will do the stitches without you having to touch the foot control. So again, get used to that concept. So speaking of not having to use the foot control, one of the things that people do like, and I'm going to slow this machine down quite a bit, is that you can actually sew by using this go button right here. So it looks like a play symbol like what you see on YouTube. So if you touch it, it's going to go, and if you touch it again, it's going to stop. I sometimes use this when I'm sewing with youngsters and people who aren't used to a foot control and like sewing at a certain speed. They tend to find that very comforting that they can just sew and then stop it when they're ready to stop, adjust the fabric, or turn to a corner here. Now notice that when I just touch it quick, it doesn't actually start. And I like that because if I just accidentally bump up against it, it isn't going to run away on me. It does have like a quick little delay, hence you actually wanting it to start when you use that. The other way this can be used, so if you're sewing along and you're using it, hold it to start it, tap your foot control, will also stop this in motion. So if it's getting away from you and you can't figure out where that button is because you're panicky, just tap your foot control with your toe and it will stop it immediately. So now you can see why I dropped the speed down. So somewhere in that is kind of a nice, probably happy medium for whoever is learning to use this machine. So if you're ready to go full speed, slide that all the way back up. Now, right now I have the machine stopping in the needle down position, and that's because on screen it is also showing with the needle down. This is probably something we use also a ton. So there's a couple things about this function. Number one, to get it to stop in the down position, you actually will be touching this needle down button to change the permanent option. So if it's pointing up, the machine will always stop with the needle up. And let me do this real quick, because if you're sewing and the needle's up, which is fine, but oh wait, this one time you need that needle down, that's what this button is for. You can push it, sinks it down half a stitch. You also have the option, I'm going to tap my toe on the top of the foot control. A half a stitch is also at the tip of your toes. So a half a stitch a half a stitch. Maybe you're trying to get right to a certain point on your fabric, but you don't want to have to turn the handle, which actually I kind of encourage my students not to do, because then if you start turning it, now you're not always completing that stitch. That doesn't get to the highest point, which is when that take-up lever is above the housing. By tapping your toe or using the needle up-down button, really make sure that your machine is always in the completed stitch placement for when you go to take it out. And of course your scissor button will also always bring your needle back up when you're done sewing, okay? So that is also some wonderful things. But if you always like it to stop down, turn the machine on, touch that button immediately, and then you have that function, which is the way I actually prefer it most of the time. Okay, so we've kind of covered all these buttons, plus a little bit over here. We do have the reminder of how to get to the rest of the stitches that are down below here, all the decorative stitches. You'll see at the top the menu that you'll find. Menu 2 would be then these stitches. Menu 1, which is in right now, are the stitches that are right at our fingertips. So if we touch that, we get menu 2. Now we can pick these stitches. And just a reminder, you don't have to touch the 0 for the stitches 1 through 99, okay? So we have, like if you want stitch 75, you can just type in 75 and it'll go to that stitch. If you want stitch number 3, you can just touch 3 and it kind of fills in those first 2 zeros for you. You can do 003 as well, but if you want to realize you can save time, you can just put in that number. It's when you get to the numbers that have a 1 in front of them, that's when you need to actually touch like 143. Okay, that's a fun stitch. It looks like it's fun, but it's even prettier stitching out on the machine. So let's go ahead and take a few stitches, stitch that out. If I touch the locking stitch, wherever I touch it, it actually locks right in that position. So this row of functions, we're going to save for the video that we go into depth about programming into the memory. So these are all associated when you're combining decorative stitches together, like if you want a heart and a star and then it stitches out them flip-flopping, heart, star, or if you're doing alphabets. This row is all dedicated to programming in combinations of stitches and alphabets. So now as we come down this side, when we get into decorative stitches, now let me go back to menu 1, and you turn the machine on, you notice the only function that shows right at the top is that needle up, down, and whether it's been programmed up or down. Then the one right above it is what I call pattern end. So when you engage it, now what we have, and you'll see this more when I pick a stitch that is actually like a flower or a heart. So I'm going to go to the menu where I can choose my decorative stitches. I'm going to choose 87. So this stitch has like a little bit of a wave to it, and notice there is a new symbol that comes up on the screen automatically. So when you're doing decorative stitches, you don't want to like stop halfway down a decorative stitch like we did here. You want to kind of finish it. So here's how this works. Once it's been turned on, so if it's not on, touch the button so it is. Then when you're doing your stitch, so hold your foot down on the foot control, or you can use the start-stop button. Now, when you touch the knot, it will finish the pattern. Notice it's blinking on screen, and it will lock it and then stop, and then you can hit the scissor button and it cuts it. So then we have a pattern that is actually completed instead of like stopped halfway through. So that's always the ideal way to finish a row of decorative stitches. Now, if we want that pattern to be mirror imaged, we also have the option to flip it left or right, depending on which way you're going. And this last one is elongation, which works with our decorative stitches that are satin stitch. And what it does is it makes the stitch longer but doesn't change the density. So to give you an example, we're going to go to one of the stitches that is considered a satin stitch. Here, let's just do stitch number 35. And now we have that option for elongation. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize it would go so many times. So one, let's just sew it out one time. And so here I'm gonna stitch. I just wanted to do it once, so I'll touch the pattern in. Now I'm gonna elongate it. So what's gonna happen is this decorative stitch on the screen is gonna be twice as long, but with the same density. So let's go ahead. And I should have foot B on when you do this. So let's just show you what you're getting is the ability to make those stitches. Here, we'll touch the scissor button, and then you can see that the first stitch, the default, and then elongated to 2, doubled. But look, we could actually go 3, and it would be 3 times as long, and then 4, and 5. Okay, that's a lot for this little machine, but we all knew that that's why you got this machine, because it's power packed. It really has a lot of features built into the machine. So these are things that you can program in. We could also put in with our memory, like part of our words, names, dates, or whatever holiday it is, and have some fun with that. Let the kiddos play around with the memory. They'll have it figured out in no time flat, which is always so fun to watch when like little fingers come into our store and they'll just sit down, and I can tell that they're going to be just fine, but they'll poke enough buttons and realize they can program something in. And it's always amazing what they leave on the little sample fabrics that we always have underneath the needle. So whoever sits down to sew can have a successful try it out and see what the machine can actually do. So after all of this, we want to remind you to go into your sewing advisor, try out these buttons for just so you know how it feels when you push what and when, and start to put those features into practice next time you sit down to sew. If this video has been helpful, make sure you're clicking the like button every time you watch a video from somebody who has given you good information, and we'd love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find those links down below to the playlist that has all the rest of the videos to help you master the Husqvarna Viking Onyx 30.